All right, welcome into the lab presented by Wolverine. The season is winding down. We got Northwestern this weekend. Going to do a preview with you guys. And then, of course, it's the game that needs no introduction. It is the game, Ohio State, Michigan. And can't wait to do some preview episodes with you guys next week. Let me know any questions you would like to have answered next week down in the comments. I'll make sure to get to them. So I'll just tell you right now, very winnable game for Michigan, but got to handle business this weekend. All right, today's episode is brought to you by Top House Peanut Sauce. It's the third condiment your kitchen, tailgate, and cookout have been missing. Ketchup and mustard may be classics, but Top House brings that next level flavor you didn't know you needed. With rich, creamy peanut goodness and the perfect balance of sweetness and spice, it's a whole new umami experience. Ready to make Top House the third condiment on your table? Order yours now at www.tophousefoods.com. Thank you to Top House. We'll make sure we link that down in the bio below. Okay, Northwestern preview. Coming off a bye. So a little check-in real quick. I just called Northwestern last week, so I know the team really well. Here is what I saw. This is a well-coached team. David Braun's a damn good coach. They are led by their defense, specifically their defensive front. Really good against the run, really strong against the run. They play a shell coverage defense. And basically what that means is you're going to see certain teams. Ohio State is going to run a bunch of exotic coverages and pressures. Okay. So some of the teams Michigan has seen this year, they like to be aggressive and do a bunch of different stuff. With Northwestern, basically what you see pre-snap is what you're going to get. They play their gaps really well. They tackle really well. Their defensive line, they rotate 8+ guys, and they have different body types, strong and violent at the point of attack, and experienced linebackers. Some are more athletic than others, but they do tackle well. Play a ton of quarters coverage, meaning, safeties are going to be matched up against Colston. Personally, I love to play against quarters coverage. You get some favorable matchups, but that's Michigan starts with can you run the ball against Northwestern? I don't know about you guys, I believe the offensive line has improved a ton throughout the season, and that's to be expected. You remember when you lose 6 of your top guys like Michigan did last year, it's going to take some time. I don't know if we thought it was going to be perfect to start the year, but it's going to take some time. A lot of positive stuff to cling on to. This feels like a really important game for the offensive line, the offense as a whole, to really one final dress rehearsal, one final chance to go put it on tape. And what you really want to do if you're Michigan, put something so good on tape that you put the fear of God into the Buckeyes when they're watching it, right? Like that's what this rivalry is about. Be so dominant and so dialed in that you put the fear of God into your opponents. That's what Michigan was able to do in the most recent years, right? Imposing their will and dominating. So last week, Ohio State, they got a great offensive line. They got great running backs. They got good blocking tight ends, and their wide receivers block really well. It took them a long time to get the run game going. A long time. The formula for Ohio State's success was actually having Will Howard throw to one-on-one. It was tight coverage too. This is a good defense. Like I'm sure a lot of people are just expecting Michigan to win this game. Not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. I'm just telling you right now, Northwestern's defense has the ability to keep this one close. Davis Warren, I would have loved to see where he's at right now had he had the chance to play the full season. The big things that's changed since he got in there. Offensive line is playing better because he's taking fewer sacks and not and taking less pressure. He's comfortable throwing the ball away. He's aware of where his checkdowns are. He's not putting the team in compromised positions. The other thing, taking care of the football, not throwing the ball into harm's way, just being smart. And I think he has started to understand and grasp that, damn, our defense is pretty good. If I don't turn the ball over, and we have a good punter too, if we punt, we're going to be in this game. There's no need to risk what it felt like early in the season, which is to be expected with a young new team. There was a sense of guys trying to prove themselves. That's not what you want. You do not want your guys operating by trying to prove themselves. Don't prove anything to anyone. Go run the system and do what you do best, right? I think you guys get the point I'm making. Right now, Davis, it feels like that weight has been lifted off his shoulders, that he doesn't have to prove that he's the next guy to replace JJ. He doesn't have to prove that he's capable. He doesn't have to prove that he is who he says he is. He just gets to go play football, and he plays within the system, and they play team Michigan football. Okay, that's a real thing psychologically. So Davis Warren, keys to offense, keys when Michigan has the ball. Got to win at the line of scrimmage. Show it. Let's see it. Double teams. Okay. When you get double teams, these guys don't move a ton. So you need vertical double teams getting hit. Look, imagine if I'm double teaming my mic right here. You guys can't see it. If this is my double team and I'm hit and you're here in the middle, if I'm wide, you're going to have a chance to split my double teams. Leverage. You guys remember physics class? It's beautiful. Physics class in geometry is football. Football is physics and geometry. So double teams against Northwestern's D-line get hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder. You shouldn't even be able to slide a piece of paper because you guys are so tight together. And then the leverage piece comes from pad level and engaging your core to run your feet and create movement. When you have 600 pounds on 300 pounds, meaning when you have two offensive linemen on one defensive lineman, you have got to win. You have got to create movement. Then it's on the running backs to do the rest. Okay, so it all starts up front. Win with the double teams. Therefore, establish the run game. Therefore, you can now get into play action against the quarters coverage where Colston Loveland is going to effectively end up getting one-on-one matchups against the safeties of Northwestern. Okay, that's the key. That's the key. They've been beat up a little bit. One of their veteran middle linebackers, he's been injured. Not sure his full health status. One of their top cornerbacks, he's another guy that had missed time as well. So that's another thing to consider here. But again, Michigan, like from a talent standpoint, they're better than what they put on tape. Period. They're better than what they put on tape. Just to put a bow on this with when Michigan has the ball, big stretch here for Kirk Campbell. It's been a challenging season to manage, and it's understandable. I know, Kirk catches a lot of heat, but if you guys think about this, understand how hard, the position that he's in. I'm not saying anything other than this. I just want you to consider this. Expectations sky high for Michigan. Replacing your quarterback, who was a top 10 pick, by the way. Replacing 6 of your best offensive linemen, all your starters. Whoa. Replacing your wide tight end, your top 2 wide receivers, A.J. Barner, Roman Wilson, Cornelius Johnson, and replacing an elite, one of the best backs, maybe the best back of all time in Michigan history, in Blake Corum. Not only that, those guys were your leaders. So you have the recipe of sky-high expectations with brand new personnel, and it just takes time. It just takes time to figure out your identity, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. The beautiful thing about being a Michigan Wolverine, we don't have time because the expectations are always so sky high. Never change that, but understand the context. Now, these next 2 weeks, that being said, everything I just said, that's where these next 2 weeks are critically important because you've had time now. You're coming off a bye week. These next 2 weeks are so important to have some positive momentum that you can carry into hopefully bowl season and then hopefully into the recruiting cycle next spring and going forward, get Michigan back into that championship level standard expectations and quality of play. All right, defensively. Well, it sounds like Will Johnson's not going to play. Sharon Moore said he's working through some things. Don't know. Love Will Johnson, phenomenal player. Obviously, will be he is a huge plus anytime he gets back on the field. So we'll see. It doesn't sound like it's going to be this week for Will Johnson, but I like some of the things that the secondary has shown. The development of the secondary in the back end. They've shown that they've shown that they're capable. They've put it on tape. A guy like Jair Hill has shown some really nice things. It's just the inconsistency for him. And that's to be expected again with a younger guy. Zeke Berry, he's not Mikey Sainer still. but he's shown some really nice things. Amir Hall is a guy with great length, okay? Really great length and fundamentals. He's getting better. And then how about Brandon Hillman? I think that guy has a big, he's a younger dude, an underclassman. He's got a chance to be really, really special. And he's been flashing, kind of a throwback safety. So the secondary is, again, a big week here because the strength of Northwestern is their wide receivers. They haven't really been able to run the ball. A guy like Bryce Kurtz on the outside, he made some really nice plays against the Buckeyes. Trusty hands. He's the go-to guy. He's the wide receiver one for Northwestern. He's got a special relationship with his quarterback, Jack Lausch. So for whoever's matched up with him, understand that he's got long speed and he can beat you over the top, and he attacks the football and has a great relationship with his quarterback. The other one is A.J. Henning. Guys that Michigan fans, those that are really in it, you guys know A.J. Henning. Once wore the winged helmet, okay? And he's really grown as a player. It's really cool to see. He's their gadget guy. So Bryce Kurtz stretches defenses vertically. They like to get behind defenses. A.J. Henning stretches defenses horizontally. They use them in jet sweeps, little wide receiver bubbles and wide receiver screens and smoke screens and shallow routes. They like to get him the ball almost as a complement to their run game. Okay, so that's probably Zeke Berry in the slot. The other thing is they use their tight ends. They got a few really good tight ends. One is a big time blocker. Olgis, I think he wears number 2. When he's in, heavy expectation of run or heavy play action. Not a receiving threat. But the other guys are really quality tight ends. Okay, they're not the best in the conference, but they trusted hands. They're big, strong, fast, athletic, and can make plays. So, a guy like Hillman or Makari Page or the linebackers are going to have to be aware of that and make sure they rally and tackle and make those plays. So that's the back end. I believe, again, the back end on this side is going to decide the fate of the game. Northwestern, again, they have pretty solid wide receivers with good relationships with their quarterback. That's been the weak point for Michigan's defense. In the trenches, that's the weakest point of Northwestern. Just getting a chance to talk to David Braun and understanding where their program's at. That's the biggest thing they're missing. And they've dealt with injuries. They've had to shuffle guys in and out. From a defensive line, offensive line standpoint, Michigan should dominate this matchup. Ohio State did once they settled in. They need to dominate this matchup. Jack Lausch is a tough, mobile quarterback. If you watch him on YouTube or whatever highlights Northwestern's quarterback, he's been described to me as a competitor, an athlete, and a leader before a quarterback. Okay, basically, like, this guy is learning the intricacies of the quarterback position. So I think that tells you a lot there. He's much more dangerous as a runner. To that point, okay, remember this. Michigan defensively, you have to go into this game saying we have to guard, we have to play defense for 2 plays for every single 1 play. And what that means is there's the first play when the ball is snapped, Jack Lausch is looking and say it's all slants and nothing's there. The second play comes when those reads break down and he leaves the pocket. He's a capable runner and he can throw it on the run as well. So there's 2 plays. There's the initial play that's called, and then there's the second play when it breaks down. Michigan has to be prepared to defend 2 plays for every 1 snap. Everything I've said doesn't matter if Michigan's D-line dominates and wins and beats up Jack Lausch and stops their running backs. Nothing matters if those guys win. That's where my eyes will be going, is looking at the big fellas up front, dominating. One small thing to that is their running backs are great pass catchers as well. Okay, their running backs are against a few weeks prior. I believe they were playing Purdue. Yes, they were playing Purdue before their bye. Running backs were heavily involved, over 100 yards receiving. So at times I felt like the Michigan linebackers have been vulnerable. They've been out of position and haven't been aware of their pass coverage assignments. They seem to be better coming downhill. They've improved, but be aware of the running backs in the passing game. Be aware of the tight ends in the passing game. Those are key matchups to watch here. So put a bow on this, guys. I'd love to hear your score predictions down in the comments. How important is this game? It's critically important. And as we just put a bow on the season, you're coming off a bye week. Things have moved fast for Sharon, haven't they? They've moved so fast. He got the whole thing with Jim. It happened really late. The coordinator market had already came and went. The portal had came and went. JJ waited. We didn't know 100% if JJ was going to go to the NFL initially. Obviously, ultimately did. But how late all of this happened, I think handcuffed Sharon a little bit. These next 2 games, bowl prep, and then into January, really important for him to get some momentum, because I think next year is going to be a better indication of who he is as a leader and a coach. And we know he's a great leader. So yeah. How about Jim Harbaugh though? I don't know if you guys just go ahead, get on Google or Instagram or X, whatever, TikTok, and search Jim Harbaugh, and just, how great is it to see him? He's got the Chargers singing, so he's a jolly good fellow. He's got these guys handing out high fives and hugs in the locker room. I know I'm not alone in saying it's great to see Jim Harbaugh succeeding. And here I am in Chicago, right? I'm working for the Big Ten Network here in Chicago, and this is Bears City. And the Bears were really excited to get Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze and DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and all these great, all these talented weapons. They were real excited. Don't have the coach, don't have the system, don't have the scheme, don't have the cultures. Losing games, they're going to have to start all over again, which is just terrible when you have a young quarterback. Just terrible. They're going to do it all over again. And I just can't help but think, man, if they hired Jim Harbaugh, they'd be a playoff team right now. They got talent, They got talent. Jim is a team builder. It's unbelievable. He's such a good coach. One of the all-time great coaches in any sport. Probably he's a top 10 coach of all time in football. Maybe a top 20 coach of all time in any sports. That's how good he is. Where he goes, wins follow. Big piece of that is the culture and ensuring that the locker room believes in your mission. Okay. So I say that to say this. That's on Sharon Moore, and that's on this staff. Give the team, go out there and play, so that give the team a reason for them to believe beyond a single shadow of doubt that they're capable of doing special things. That's what this weekend is about. Really excited to see the games. Always a pleasure to see you guys. I hope you have a great weekend. And next week we'll push out an episode. Of course, it's the game. It's also Thanksgiving. We got you covered. We'll push out an episode. Let me know some questions that you have down in the comments. Let me know anything you want me to cover about the game down in the comments. I will make sure that I get to it. So go ahead and do that for me. Again, thank you to our sponsors. Of course, Wolverine, as we always have. Wolverine, shout out to Wolverine. And thank you now to Top House Peanut Sauce, guys. They're not mustard. They're not ketchup. They got that creamy peanut goodness in the perfect balance of sweetness and spice. It's the whole new umami experience. I have it. It's in my pantry. Been putting it on different meals. It is delicious. You will not regret it. Now I know your mouth's watering. www.tophousefoods.com. Get you some peanut sauce. Thanks to the Lab. Thanks to Wolverine. And thank you to Top House. And thank you guys for tuning in. This is the Lab. We will see you next week.